Hey, good morning, fellow YouTubers. So, last month I reached my 4-month anniversary with this bike. I bought this bike March 5th, 2016. So, March 5th, 2016. It's funny, my dog had his birthday March 3rd. I had this bike's 4-year anniversary March 5th. And then I had my son's birthday the 17th, St. Patrick's Day the 19th, so March is full. But I kind of just wanted to go over some of the likes and dislikes. Now I'm very happy with this bike, as I'm sure most of you that are subscribed know. So my like list is considerably longer than my dislike list. So please don't judge me by the shape of my motorcycle. It's been raining nonstop for days and it's filthy, but it's gonna get clean later today, particularly because of this bird shit that's been there like 3 or 4 days. But so let's jump into it. Okay, so yes, you saw my list. I got a list. Okay, so Harley Davidson is very expensive, and kind of an undisputed reason for that expense is at least one. There's several, and I don't want to go into that discussion, but they have a very nice finish. So the chrome is, I had a Vulcan Mean Streak, and the chrome on this Harley is just such better quality than the chrome that was on that Mean Streak. You had a lot of plastic on that Kawasaki Mean Streak. This, you have metal. I love the old analogy of Japanese bikes are like Bic lighters, plastic and throwaway, and Harley Davidsons are like the old Zippos, the old metal lighters that you could literally use for a lifetime. I'm thinking of that Clint Eastwood Gran Torino movie. He's a veteran, served in I think Vietnam, and he still has the same lighter that he uses all day, every day. It's a Zippo. So you can just exchange the parts and keep using those Zippo lighters for years. There's only a few parts. One is the flint, and you might possibly need to replace the spring after maybe 20 years or something. But I love those old Zippo lighters because they're reusable. You can use it forever. Okay, so the finish. I love the finish. It's good quality. The paint. I mean, this is 4 years later, and when I wash it up and it's out in the sunshine, man, it gets a lot of looks, gets a lot of attention, and it can pass for relatively new. So the finish is a big part of what you're paying for on Harleys, and by golly, they really do it right. Okay, overall, this Harley, a 2016 Softail Slim, or any Slim, is got that fat front tire, cut fenders, no bags, no major accessories so far as radio or things like that. And what they're going for, especially with this fat front tire and this big fat nostalgic headlight, I mean, think about the old Chevys and Ford trucks from the 40s. Even earlier than that, you had that headlight, two of those up front on those old 40s trucks. So that's what this is going for. This is going for the veterans returning from World War II that wanted fast bikes, and so they came home. America was a conservative place at that time, and they were like, I'm not having this. I'm gonna get me a motorcycle and I'm gonna live on the road. And they wanted them to be fast, so the easiest way to increase horsepower is to drop some weight, right? Horsepower is like power to weight ratio, so just drop as much weight. So the fenders were cut to make it a bobber, and these beach handlebars probably aren't very bobberish, but I'll get into that later. And the pipes, usually the pipes when you're going for a full bobber look are a little bit different than these Vance and Hines I have. You know, when I had that Kawasaki Vulcan Mean Streak, it was like it came out the first year the term muscle cruiser came out, and it was high performance, so it had the braking system off the Ninja 900, and it had a hell of a big lean angle. So with that mean braking, with that big 1500 V-twin engine, and that leaning angle being so high, you could really handle the twisties well. But I went ahead and ruined some of that lean angle with the floorboards, because I bought that to get into the cruiser bike style. And to me, cruisers are nostalgic, and cruisers, since they're nostalgic, deserve floorboards. Now that's just the style I'm going for, but then the function of the floorboards I love. They're so comfortable. You can move your feet all over the place, but obviously they're gonna cut into that lean angle. So I absolutely love the front tire, and I love how the back tire and the front tire are the same size. That's really old school, and it's you don't really need it to be any different than that. It handles great. I love the original seat. So I don't have it on here, but I'm sure you guys have seen it in other videos. It's leather and it's very low. When you sit on that, you got a 27.5 seat height, which was the lowest in that year, 2016, with the Indian Scout, if memory serves me correctly. They both had the same seat height, and they were the lowest out of any production motorcycle that year. So it doesn't have a lot of padding, but it's good quality leather. It's tuck and rolled like the old 50 style, and it's beautiful. It's just doesn't call too much attention away from the rest of the bike. It's just a nice leather accent that fits the bike well, in my opinion. So I love that original seat. And for driving around town on little 1-2 hour rides, it's fine. But if I'm gonna be doing anything over 2 hours, 2 hours or more, I like this seat, because it picks you up a little bit, scoots you forward a little bit, and it has that backrest. So with being up a little higher and a little bit more forward, I'm not so stretched out putting my legs on the floorboards. And then obviously that backrest really helps without having a screen. If I'm going to be doing highway driving at 70 and 80 for a couple hours, that really helps, having that backrest. So I can just lean against the backrest and let the wind pummel me, but it's not causing my torso to get tired or my arms, because I'm leaning back. And so I love the original seat for its looks, and I love this seat for its function with 2 hour rides or longer. Okay, so I love these aftermarket bars. They're chubby, Wild One chubby fat bars. So they're fat. They're an inch and a quarter, I think, in diameter, as opposed to just, I think, what is stock which is like an inch. So they're fatter, and so when it comes down to right here, and it has to come into this part, it's a lot thinner right there. You can't see it, but it gets thinner so it can fit into this clamp. So I love these handlebars. They really change the ergonomics for me, and they make my little 5'7" frame fit this bike perfectly. So that's the only set of aftermarket handlebars I bought for this bike, and it's really the only pair I think I'm gonna buy or need. So, I didn't really think about talking about this, but I really do love this little, you can circle through all the digital stuff with this button right here. And I usually just leave it on tack, but you have fuel range, which is obviously very useful. You have like 2 or 3 different trip odometers, but obviously most people just leave it on tack. But you also have the time, which I've never bothered to set up. We all have our cell phones with us at all times nowadays. But I love just the simplicity of this old cat's eye Lascelles with just one big speedometer. Very, very old school. I love the old school look of the two gas caps, because you used to, on the old Harleys, actually have two separate tanks, one reserve and one regular, and the tank was divided right down the middle. Now this is your only gas cap, and this is a facade gas cap with your gas gauge. So a lot of people they get the flat ones, the gas caps that are totally flat against the tank, and that's all well and good, but you know, I'm going for the 40s, 50s look, and they didn't have that back then. Now I did go with the LED lights, and one could make an argument saying, well, if you're really trying to go old school, leave those LED lights off there and keep all, because it came with all the standard bulbs. But I changed all that out, even got the LED headlamp. But you know, that's kind of like a safety issue, because I'm almost like probably 99% of my ridings during the day, and it's just nice to have those bright lights that even look bright during the daytime. My goodness, at night it's really, I love those LED lights, and it kind of lets people know that you got a new bike, even though you're going for an old look. You know, the new Harleys, like let's take the Heritage Classic Harley. You know, it looks so classic and beautiful, but it's a nice accent to have those real modern LED lights on there. Okay, so I love the aftermarket bars, Wild One Fatties. I personally like, and I know someone might think this is like an ego thing, but I like no screen, I like no radio, I like no bags. I like just the concept of a motorcycle just being an engine with the bare essentials wrapped around it. So obviously you need the frame and the wheels and the controls. And I try to avoid anything else other than that. I love just looking over, when you're seated, just looking over emptiness. You know, I can see the road right in front of me. I don't know how people deal with those big screens where everything, and especially the tinted ones, where everything you're looking through is darkly tinted through a screen. I wouldn't want that. I want to see the little oil. I want to see the dead lizard. I want to be able to see all the little details in the road. Let me know what you guys think. If you have a tinted screen that you have to look through even to see far down the road, and if you have a tinted full face helmet with a tinted shield and you're driving at night, I mean, tell me about the good and bad when you have to look through a shield all the time, whether it's tinted or not. Because I just love it just being simple. That's all I've ever known. On my mean streak, I've mentioned that I had a little mid-size windscreen that I rarely ever use. So I'm just used to this. Let's see, what else? But you know, even though I don't want to have this big music box right here on my handlebars, I do have music in my helmet sometimes with my headphones. And then I got GPS right there, because you know, you can listen to your music and punch in your maps your destination, and it just interrupts the music a little bit when it needs you to turn right or left. So I don't even need the handlebar mount for the cell phone to see the map, because I got it in my head. My phone's telling me turn here, go there. And so who needs the visual to distract you and take your eyes off the road when you're getting the audio? And that audio is redundant. I mean, they're not going to let you miss a turn. They tell you, like, you know, 600 feet turn right, 200 feet turn right now. You know, I mean, you'd have to be really compromised or not too quick on your auditory information to miss those directions. You know, I really like, I struggled a couple years ago with, you know, wanting to get the old school Firestone tires where you got all the treads running the same direction, because it really helps with that old school look of the overall bike. But once again, it's like those LED lights. I mean, these Dunlops grip so well, and I'm just so happy with them. You know, I've had Yokohama. I've had other tires that I also liked, Metzler's. But, you know, I mean, I think Dunlops, just there's a reason why they're a little bit more. There's a reason why they have such a good reputation. I love my Dunlops. They really, really grip well. If you guys saw me riding in the rain in that last video where I said rain wasn't predicted, I mean, I could take those turns really fast in wet conditions. And that's only confidence coming from me knowing how good these tires grip. And they last an okay amount of time. I mean, I would like a little bit more longevity, but really it's sufficient. I like these aftermarket grips. You know, this is a popular company for Harley's, Performance Machine. I love this Throttle Boss. Now, a lot of people talk about throttle locks, and you can lock the throttle. It's great. Instead of cruise control, you can lock the throttle, and then as soon as you hit the brake, or I guess try to change the throttle in any way, it unlocks. So a cheap way around cruise control is one of those throttle locks. And I guess you could get both, really, because I just commented to someone last night that, you know, yeah, that throttle lock would be great for freeway driving, but this Throttle Boss is great for around town, for the canyons, and so on and so forth. So I guess you could get both and be completely covered that way. I love my mirrors. Okay, so when I first got the bike, we got the chrome standard mirrors. I immediately replaced those with the black, exact same mirrors, just black, to match all the black I have on the handlebars and everything. And then I went to these. These are classic Harley Davidson mirrors, and I love them. They're teardrop, and they're old school. These came stock on a lot of old Harleys. I mean, I'm talking like the 40s and 50s. Okay, then I got these, and then I got the black all-round ones, real old school look. So the bar and the mirror is all black, and it's just a simple round. I love those. I just had those on for like a year and a half. But you know, it's fun to change it up. So I took them off, I put these on. I've had them in storage for a year and a half, and I'm probably only gonna have them on for somewhere between 4 and 6 months before I go back to the round ones. But it is fun just to change it up. I love my heel shifter. So never ever do I shift up with the toe shifter. Every time I go from first to second, second to third, third to fourth, fourth to fifth, fifth to sixth, I'm upshifting with my heel. Now, I've mentioned I'm short, I'm 5'7", and that just works so easy for me instead of kind of reaching my toe up to hit this. Now, obviously, to downshift, I need to hit this. But, you know, downshifting, you don't have to hold your toe up there as long. You just tap it. Just reach your foot up there and tap it. Whereas upshifting, you gotta wait. You put your toe there, and then you wait for the RPMs to be just right. And then when you upshift, you really need to get your toe down under it, you know, so your toe would be like up here, and you're using almost where the toe touches the foot. So it's maybe an extra inch you're reaching, and then you gotta pull it just right. It's just easier downshifting, you just tap it down. So, but I love that heel shifter, and the 2020 Harleys don't even come with them anymore. So hey, nostalgic. Okay, dislikes. Very, very short list. Okay, the original handlebars. I love them, original handlebars. But the ergonomics, they were a little bit, they had me pulled too far forward, and my lower back started hurting me. And I knew from my Kawasaki Mean Streak, which had drag handlebars just straight, that problem only gets worse. So as soon as that problem started, I went online and looked for these handlebars. And they're really cheap. These handlebars were under $100. I think they were like 80 some odd dollars. So I still have those handlebars, and someday I might put them back on if it just becomes an around town driver, because those handlebars really help give it that old school look. Because the handlebars, they have that crossbar like old dirt bikes from the 70s. The back suspension. So I put progressive suspension up here in the front, and it's really quick. It handles the bumps quickly like a sport bike. The back suspension stock, it's back when they had 2 canisters. 2016 was the last year they had 2 shock absorbers for the rear suspension. Now they just have 1. It only has 3 inches of travel. So I've adjusted, and I don't bottom it out at all anymore. But the first couple of years on the highway, even I'd hit bumps on the highway and have it bottom out at 75, 80, and it's kind of painful. I love these spokes. So these spokes obviously give it that old school look, but I love how it's black on the rims and chrome on the spokes. And if you look really closely, darn it, they're getting some rust. And that's just one thing. I mean, if you really want to keep spokes clean and rust free, you're going to be devoting hours every week. That's one bad thing about spokes. So the good thing is the look of the spokes. The bad thing is how they're so hard to take care of, and they're just going to get covered in rust. There's no two ways about it. Now, I would say the single thing that I get the absolute most compliments on is that exhaust system. Vance and Hines. And Vance and Hines knows how to give you a good tone to your Harleys. Okay, that being said, it's the thing I get the most compliments on. I love the sound. Gives a great sound, great performance. Yet, it's on my dislike list for just one reason. Why? Neighbors. This exhaust is loud. So, if I'm gonna be starting my Harley on a Sunday morning, I feel bad because, I mean, everyone for a good long radius is gonna be hearing that, knowing that Sheldon Brown is about to go for a ride. Anyways, love it, man. So this motorcycle I saved for 3 years, and I went in with my Triumph Bonneville. They dropped the price from $14,800 to $14,500 for me, and then they gave me $1,500 more than a different Harley dealership was going to give me for that Triumph Bonneville. So they gave me $5,000. So I ended up getting that Harley for like $9,500, and I had like $8,000. So I had actually $11,000 in my bank, but I wanted to make payments for a year just so I could build my credit up. So I literally paid, only had like $1,500 left over after how much money I brought in, and just made payments for a year. Very, very low payments, but sometimes if I had the money, I'd just throw down a bunch of money. But that's the way to buy a Harley, I think, is go in there with as much money as you can, because obviously the tax and the license adds up. And when you make payments on a motorcycle, you're making payments on the interest for like years. So you don't even get into the real money that you borrowed, for a long time. And it's just a pain. It's a big losing proposition. So go in there with as much money as you can. Put down as much money as you can, and practically own the thing if you can when you drive it home. That's my advice. So very happy with it. We had our anniversary. I bought it some cake. We celebrated. Anyways, leave a comment, you guys. Hit like, dislike. If you hit dislike, make sure you hit it twice. And it's nice to make a video without talking about coronavirus. But let me end on one good note. Today is Good Friday, and this is the day that our Lord sacrificed his life and went through unimaginable pain and torture. And he knew what was coming, and he went ahead and did that for us anyways, to get rid of original sin from Adam and Eve, Garden of Eden. And that's just heavy stuff. That happened today. It's not like Christmas where it's all wrong, the date's all wrong. No, this happened today, some 2,000 years ago. And then Easter will be when he rose from the dead. So this is bigger than Christmas. This is bigger than anything if you're a Christian. So I'm really in a good mood and really, really happy to be able to worship and give praise on Sunday for the most important thing of all Christian beliefs, this Sunday, Easter. Love you guys. Have a good day. Take care.